Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this amazing, what I know will be an amazing conversation, short and sweet, with Australia's National Cybersecurity Coordinator, Lieutenant General Michelle McGuinness. Welcome, Coordinator.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. For the audience, and I've spoken to Michelle earlier, so we both share a passion about cyber awareness. And as a cyber awareness advocate, I look at cyber awareness in terms of security, safety, and well-being, which are crucial for a holistic online experience. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of topics that are close to your heart and mine. And I'll begin with the ASEAN-Australia partnership. So I'd like to ask your thoughts about the nature of this partnership, and especially in relation to shared cybersecurity priorities. What are these priorities?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, and it is such an honour to be here. Australia has a national cybersecurity strategy that spans from 2023 through to 2030, and we have 6 shields, and one of them is a secure region and global leadership. It is absolutely critical. We don't think we can be secure in an insecure region, and increasingly we are all facing the same challenges. I've engaged bilaterally, we've engaged across ASEAN. I was in Singapore earlier this week, and we've started an ASEAN-Australia cyber dialogue this year as well. This is critical. These issues impact every one of us, and it's going to take every one of us to get after it. No one sector, no one government, no one nation is going to be able to deal with this on their own. The cost of cybercrime, the intrusions, the insecurities, the vulnerabilities that it causes us, we are all in this together, and no one should or can deal with it alone.
Right. The situation is grim for those of us that are working in this area, and we both agree that a whole-of-nation approach is needed to fight cybercrime. So we can't do it in silos. Countries need to work together, and even within a nation, we need to have various stakeholders that are working together. And we know that Australia's Act Now, Stay Secure awareness campaign has been praised as being innovative by making cybersecurity easy and practical for people to follow.
Yeah.
And what are some of the lessons that have come from that campaign, and what are something that us in ASEAN can learn from this campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. We're working really hard to take cybersecurity from being a technical topic, which can be intimidating, to something that is accessible for everyone. This is a whole-of-nation endeavour, and as each one of us become more secure, we all become more secure. So Australian government has invested significantly in our Act Now, Stay Secure campaign. You can find it on actnowstaysecure.gov.au. Our research told us that we have some vulnerable cohorts, and they include our wonderful multicultural society in Australia. So we have that campaign provided in 32 different languages. The campaign itself focuses on a tagline of what are you risking online, and it's designed to increase our understanding to somewhat match our access. So we all have access to great technologies in our hands, in our homes, in our doorbells, in our studies, in our children's pockets, which we find hasn't been matched with the security awareness. We know from research from our technical experts that there are some really simple things that every one of us can do to make us more secure. And in fact, whether you're an individual or a small or medium business, and I will say that individuals and small and medium businesses are at the very heart of our strategy. They have been the foundation of the first thing that we want to secure. 97% of Australian businesses, by some measures, are small to medium businesses. So we want to empower them with secure technology, secure application, but importantly, awareness, understanding, so that we don't come to this technical environment being intimidated. So if I can, there are some really simple things, and that website talks us through in those 32 different languages exactly what we can do to be more secure. The top 3 things that experts, certainly in Australia and across partners, tell us is always update your software. When a software update or a patch comes out, it's because we have known vulnerabilities. It is because those vulnerabilities are being targeted by state and criminal actors alike. The second is always have multi-factor or 2-factor authentication. And then complex passphrases. We have universities who've done research on how easy it is to crack an 8-digit password which can be done in around 24 hours, compared to a 15-digit, which some people say can take millions of years if it's a complex passphrase. These are simple things we can do, and we know that citizens are using the same passwords and sharing them and not having long, complex passphrases. So we think that can make us all more secure, and our goal is to make everyone confident and able to thrive in this digital environment.
Right. Now, thank you for sharing those tips. So just for the audience as well, to repeat, that the 3 things that we can be doing really simple are using complex passphrases.
15 characters or more.
15 characters or more, having 2-factor or multi-factor authentication. And the first one?
Update your software.
Update the software. So all of us are vulnerable, and if we start with these 3 simple steps, we can each keep ourselves, our families, and our organizations safer. With the resources that the Australian government has provided its citizens, I'm really curious because in Singapore as well, we have a lot of resources, but we find that our people are digitally overwhelmed.
Yes.
So what do we do to make these resources easier for them to consume in this very high-tech environment we live in?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing our best. That site has really simple tips and tricks and talks you through practical things. We're asking every Australian, every employer, every business, every school to find time to talk and to talk to Australian citizens and their families and to provide time to uplift. So we are trying to simplify it. We don't want anyone to be intimidated by it. We don't want it to be seen as an overly technical issue. If you've got a phone in your pocket, then you're in the business of cybersecurity.
Oh, that's perfect. If you have a phone in your pocket, you're in the business of cybersecurity. So please remember that. We both talk about family, and many times people think cybersecurity is a technical thing, it's an industry thing, but both Coordinator and I have spoken about family. So if you could just tell us, if each of us here want to protect our families, how does that then make organizations more cyber resilient?
Yeah, I think it is that we are so interconnected and we have so many dependencies. So I speak to business owners in Australia who are small business owners who are looking to thrive, and their software and their hardware is also used by their kids. You know, we need to make sure that every one of us is secure. In parallel, not directly the same as cybersecurity, but the safety, online safety of our children as well, is a key focus in Australia. And our e-safety commissioner has taken some strong approaches to protecting our children online as well.
Yes. So both of us are parents, and we were discussing this earlier as whether you're a parent and coincidentally our kids are teenagers at the same age, there's always going to be a focus on how do we keep our families safer. It's either our children or our parents. And then in that case, how can we keep our children safer online with legislation in the ASEAN context? Because I ask this because Australia has had a landmark social media ban for children, and I'm just curious about your thoughts about how policy would work in this region as well.
I think it's really important that we do this together, because I think that we're dealing with very large companies who all of us are dependent on. And as we come together and identify what matters to us, how we want our children to be safe when we know that they aren't experienced enough or equipped well enough to make those decisions themselves. So not only that, but we are talking to large Australian businesses and international companies, including social media companies, about how much data do they need to actually hold. From where I sit, there is a very vast attack surface. We have every application, all the software that we're using, the more data we provide, the more vulnerable we are. Australia has experienced a number of data breaches, and it has led to a greater vulnerability in scamming as well. So we're constantly talking to our population about how to recognise a scam. So you've heard the 3 things that we'd like to uplift everyone on, but the other one is to recognise scams, whether it is with your parents or with your children in schools, at work. They typically have 3 defining features. They'll be unexpected, they'll be asking you to do something, and they'll invoke a sense of urgency. So I know that when I speak to communities across Australia, we talk about just taking a breath, just pausing for a minute and thinking it through, taking your time, and we encourage everyone to validate If you think you need to respond, if you think it's your bank calling you, or if you think it is a legitimate email, source your own details and call them back. Quite often, over the last 5 years, innovation has soared, and it's fantastic, and it brings economic and social and health benefits, and it has so much potential. But cybersecurity today actually means a tiny bit of friction in the system. So we don't want to have, you don't want to be looking for those completely seamless accesses to your data and to other systems. Putting a little bit of friction back in, whether that's multi-factor authentication, whether that's actually stopping and contacting someone independently, sourcing the details rather than responding to those unexpected calls or emails.
Right, and so in addition to the tech, the most critical infrastructure is the human brain. So we stop, pause, breathe, and think before we conduct any transaction online. And in terms of protecting small and medium businesses, which is one of the key focus areas of this event as well, what are some things that SMEs can do in addition to what you've already outlined?
Yeah, so the beauty of those three actions is they're relevant at scale, whether it's an individual or a business. We also have launched a cyber health check tool, and I also know that so many multinational companies, banks provide these resources. There are so many resources out there to help us understand where we are on our cyber journey. For Australia, we released a health check tool, which is available at cyber.gov.au. And if you go through and answer a few simple questions, it'll tell you where you are in your journey and actually what you should do next to uplift it. So we're constantly working with small and medium businesses. But importantly, we're asking them to have the confidence to engage, to find the time. And ultimately, we see in big businesses, cybersecurity is a leadership issue. It's not the issue for the IT guy or girl in the corner. It's about risk, it's about resources, it's about prioritisation, and it's about culture. And we are working incredibly closely with Australian businesses and big businesses, asking them to support their supply chains, support their employees, support their customers.
And so cybersecurity is everyone's business.
100%.
Yes, so that's one of the key takeaways I'm hoping from this session. And the last question for you is on a topic that I'm equally passionate about, which is about women in cyber. And you're a role model for so many of us because you've soared ahead in spaces that are traditionally male-dominated. So how can we bring more women into cyber, and why does it matter?
Well, it absolutely matters. This is not just a technical topic. Diversity is so important. Cybersecurity is about creativity, it's about innovation, it's about teamwork, it's about empathy, it's about understanding threats and how we might mitigate them. Australia only has 17% women in our cyber field, and for us, it's not just about capability, it's actually about sustainability. We need to know that we can access the full talent pool that our nation has to offer. I think that I can say with some credibility that I understand inherently masculine workplaces, and cybersecurity is not inherently masculine. So I do think we have to change the narrative. We have to build that narrative around the need for inclusive diversity inside cybersecurity so that we can combat the challenges. You know, we have adversaries that are increasing in scale and sophistication that are targeting us, and particularly targeting those that are vulnerable across our region and in our nation. We need everyone to be not intimidated by it and to understand it. We need great thinkers, innovators, collaborators inside the field. And whilst we need great cybersecurity professionals, we also need professionals who are cyber secure. So I think there is uplift for us everywhere across the region.
Right. Thank you for that. I think for everyone here and who can be a cyber foot soldier, so you can be a cyber foot soldier in your family, in your organization, for your government. And Michelle, if you would leave us with one thing that everyone should do today before they leave this conference to be cyber secure, what would it be?
I'd say it has to be around passphrases. I know that we use the same passphrases. I know that we find it simple. Let's take the time to go through and update them. And also speak to your family, speak to the vulnerable people, speak in your communities, and share the information and the resources that are available out there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And would everyone join me in thanking Coordinator McGuinness?
It's a pleasure. Thank you.